We'll now start to begin to assemble our skimmer. To do so, we're going to need to collect all our parts, and we will also need a few other things. We're going to need some glue, so a glue stick will work, and we'll also eventually need a little bit of tape. Okay, so the glue will come into play first, and the components that I'm going to want first are my compressor and the body. To align both of these together, where this is going to go, this is the top surface of my skimmer. My compressor actually fits right underneath inside my skimmer. So if we look at it right here, okay, you can see that it's a narrow opening on the front, and let's see if we can get the angle, there we go, and you can see that it's a little wider on the back. That's how the compressor sits in the skimmer. Another way to look at it as well is that if you zoom in here, you can see that this compressor will fit right on the line. So you almost want to line it up so that this edge is flat against. I'll get you a better view here. So right there, see how that lines up just right on that crease? That's where that's going to sit. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to add some glue to my edge. And we're going to glue one side at a time, and this takes a bit of patience. Mainly because you're going to have to give it a second for the glue to dry. So make sure you use a liberal amount, a good amount of glue on our skimmer compressor here. Now most of the time while you kids are gluing things, you tend to go a little bit overboard with the amount of glue. Unfortunately, somewhere along the line you've been brainwashed to conserve the amount of glue stick used. So a lot of times you guys have a hard time getting enough glue on there to keep it to stick in place and last long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this guy up while the glue's still wet, and I'm going to press it in place, okay, so that it lines up on my crease. I may have to re-establish my fold a little bit. Okay, so that's lined up, and now I'm going to just give it a minute to make sure it's all pressed down. And now I'm just going to give it a minute or two to dry. Alright, I've now given it enough time to let this side glue up. I'm now going to glue my other side, and then I will repeat the process of letting the glue set up. So again, don't be shy with the glue. Get that side evenly coated so that it'll stick really well. Again, a bit of patience. If you try rushing this, what ends up happening is you don't get a good glued edge. And one of the things I'm going to start doing is I line this up here. I can take my pencil, and I can actually use my pencil to help press it into place. If you look on the inside here, you can see that my edge is lined up, or that's my goal at least, is to make it lined up. I can press this against here. Hopefully. Now it really comes down to just a matter of holding it until it's all dried up, and we'll be back in a second after it's been dried. Alright, my skimmer now has had an opportunity to have both sides dry fairly well. So I have this side completed and glued, and this side as well completed and glued. The big thing that we want to make sure that if we look inside the channel, let me see if I can get this angle here. If you look inside the channel, you can see that the compressor is glued right on the line. And if I flip this around, you'll be able to see it on this side as well. Okay? If you look right in here, you can see that it's glued right on the line. That's the big key that we're shooting for. So it'll be skinny up in the front and then much thicker in the rear. The next step, or the last component to add on, are going to be our fins, and then we just need to straighten out the fins. So the last step is going to be gluing our fins on. Our fins are going to sit actually right here, and if you can see, they're going to sit nice and flat against this edge on the inside here. So to make that happen, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on my tab here. This glued up. Get this out of the way. I'm going to get this glued up, try not to get too much on the table. And then I can get these in place here. So now I'm taking time to make sure that I line both edges up. And that's going to sit right inside like so. And once I have one side completed, I can then come over here and get the other side done. And make sure I'll take my time to line those up and get them pinched into place. I don't want to make sure I don't have too much glue on my fingertips. That will end up transferring a lot of dirt to my skimmer. So to be careful about that, how much glue you end up with your fingertips and where you're touching it. So it needs a little bit more glue up front here. So we're going to just add that. Get it glued down into place. Okay. And then from there we can stand it up. And you can see the fins glued onto the inside edge. Okay. The last step, you're just going to require a little bit of tape, and we're going to use that tape to hold down our compressor here. So if I line this up to the corner and give it that little angle, if you look to the inside, you'll see that that's going to trap the air as this skimmer goes across the ground. So we want it to do that, and I'm going to need a little tape to hold it. So I'm going to take a small piece of tape. The less you use, the better. Okay, and I'm just going to tear it right down the middle. Okay, so there's a small piece of tape, and I'm going to just take my fingers, try to fold it as carefully as I can. And oftentimes I find this very easy to do if you recruit the help of a friend. I'm going to attempt to do this freehand here. So I got a little piece of tape to help hold it down here. You can see it right there. I'm going to do the other side, flip it over, get this folded down into the right spot. I can use the other piece, other half of my tape, and I can roll this up. Can't get this in the same pretty good spot right here. Now any tape that's left over, you can just fold up and out of our way. Okay. And then the last thing you can do, if you really want, if you notice your fins are curving in and you don't feel like making a pair of gussets to help stand them up, we can use just a little bit of tape, just like we did before, on the inside to help reinforce that, to get those guys to stand up a little bit better. Okay, yeah. Unfortunate part with tape is sometimes it sticks to itself and makes life a little bit difficult trying to get it to go together. There we go. So that'll help stand that up. It's one piece. Now let's get this last piece in place. This piece looked like it ripped a little funny. I'm going to grab myself a little bit better of a piece here so I can get a relatively even rip is what we want. There we go, this is a little bit better. We're just going to try to get this situated right in that edge. it up and make it a little more reinforced. Okay, that helps stand up our fins. So now from a profile, this will sit right against the ground, both edges, and this will sit flush with this corner over here and trap the air underneath it. And then that's all there is to it, to making a simple skimmer.